Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how to do this. Pretty cool. Alright, so first of all I want some animation, so I'm going to drop down a mocap biped 3. And in here I'm going to go to injured, and then I'm going to select this walk fall prone. And I'm also going to uncheck this in place animation. So now we have this little clip of this guy falling down. Okay, so I'm going to hide that, drop down a geometry. And in here, I'm going to drop down an object merge. I'm going to call this get anim. And I'm going to select the mocap biped 3 or the geometry within him. And that is in this geo skin. And you need to select the skin geo deform because you want to pick up the geometry after it has been deformed. So I'm going to select that. And now we have them here. I want him bigger, so I'm going to drop down a transform. Set him to 5. So here he is a massive guy. Okay, so now I just want to fracture him, but I don't want to fracture him on each frame. I'm going to drop down a time shift, and then I'm going to set this to F start. So now we just have the first frame. Another thing I want to do with him is I want to fill all these gaps, like here around his collar, just so it's going to be nicer to fracture. So I'm going to drop down a polycap. And then I'm going to put that in here. Now he's full. And now I'm going to drop down a Voronoi. I need some fracture points, and I want to have them inside of him. So I'm going to drop down a VDB from polygons. And then in here, I'm going to set that to fog VDB. And then I'm going to drop down a scatter and set this to 200. So here you see all my points, and then I'm going to connect that to the Voronoi, and now he is fractured. Cool. But one problem though is that the pieces are not moving, and we want that. But first, before we do that, let's change him. So now it's just a lot of polygons, and we want each piece to be a packed primitive. So I'm going to drop down and assemble. And then in here, I'm going to check this, create packed geometry. So now we can see we have these 256 packed fragments instead. Cool. Okay, the next thing I want to do then is to drop down a point deform. And if a point deform to work, I need a rest geometry that doesn't move. So let's take this after the time shift. And then we want the moving geometry, so let's pick it before the time shift. And now by doing that, we have something that looks quite cool already. But this is of course not enough because we want him to fall apart and we need simulation. Let's drop down an RBD bullet solver. If we just put him in here, we need a ground plane, so I'm going to do ground plane. And if I play this, he's just going to fall apart. So we want the simulation to be guided by the animation. And luckily, this is really easy to do after Houdini 18. You need to have an animation, we have that here. And then we can use that to guide the simulation. And then the simulation is stuck to this animation based on a strength value. So I'm going to connect that here to this guide sim. And then we go to, let's go to the first frame and go to guided simulation, use guides. And that's it. But by default, the strength value is not high enough, so you will see it will just fall apart too easy. If we would up this strength value to 6, for example, then you will see that he's keeping together much better. Then we're just going to have like a few pieces falling off. Like there's one. But what we want to do, we don't want to use this at all actually. We want to set the vex expression and we want to animate it through the timeline. So first let's type strength here. By doing that, we're going to override this strength value here. And then I'm going to write fit at time 0, 4.5 to 6.0. And you might wonder, what did I just do? it's basically mapping a range. So I take this time value and I say so when the time is 0, then we're going to have this value here, 6, and when it's 4.5, we're going to have 0. That means that this will start with a strength of 6, and after 4.5 seconds, the strength value will be 0, which will give us something like this. So it goes here, you can see he's keeping together pretty well, but here now he starts falling apart, and now he's definitely going to fall apart when he falls down. So now it completely breaks off. Cool. But one thing that would be cool is if we could have the arm falling off earlier. So let's do that. So I'm going to go to assemble here. I'm going to put down a group. I'm going to call this arm. I'm going to make it a point group. And I'm going to select this keeping bounding regions. So now I have this little box I can move. So I can move that up here. Make sure I'm covering the arm. It doesn't really matter if I get like parts of the body, like I get there. Here we go. And now I'm going to connect that into here, of course. So now I can use that group here. So if I go in here, and then in the strength value, first I do an if, and I go in point group, there, arm, add ptnum. So now I'm checking, is this piece in the point group? In that case, I want to have this strength value that I'm going to write down now. And this, instead of 4.5 seconds, let's do that to 1.5 seconds. And then if I'm not in the arm group, then I do this other strength. So by doing that, now I have him walking. The arm falls off, and then he starts falling off even more, and then he just breaks apart. Okay, so I hope that you found this useful, and see you next time.